and learning Pega by watching my videos. So, so what's for today? Okay. So today we will be learning a very important topic called notifications. Okay. So if I just recap, okay, we are working on a POC called leave applications, where employees submitting leave applications and then manager is approving. On approval, we are sending a notifications, okay, either for approval or rejections. But if you remember, we were just sending a notifications in email, okay. But if you see the today's world, just sending notifications to email is not enough, okay. We have to send it notifications to web, means in the portal, or we have to send it to mobile, okay. So how we can do that one, okay, because as of now we were sending an email. So if you see this flow, if you review, I just click on this send email or send approve email say, okay. So it was asking just to give that email address, okay, and it was asking subject and that the message body, okay, and it was getting sent out, but there was no like kind of a web notifications or the mobile notifications. So Pega previously, we usually used to do this kind of email notifications only. If you see in our real-time example also, okay, be it's Amazon or any app, okay, they also used to just send out an email notifications, okay, 10 years back. Let's say if I just go 10 years back, okay, this mobile notifications when we started getting smartphones, and then we got into this mobile notifications or web notifications. So now that capability Pega also have, okay, but as of now we have not explored that. So today we will be exploring all kind of a notifications. So basically we'll be exploring three channel, okay. So if I just go to my word document, so notifications, yes, we are just trying to notify if any actions is performed or your case. So like when we want to send an email, okay, or notify, I'll not say an email here. I'll talk about when we want to notify, okay. So that is, it's a totally business decision when we want to notify, okay. But when business is saying, okay, I want to notify, but I want to notify in all channels, okay. So that is where I mentioned the type, or I can say the channel here, that what all channel we have, okay, in what all channel we have to notify. So the first one is email, and then mobile, and then web. Okay, so in Pega, notifications is a rule, okay. So previously, like as I'm saying, that we used to send email, okay. So if I go back to Pega, here you'll find, okay, if I go to automations, and then you'll find both the things here, send email and send notifications. So if you see here, it has a bell icon, and this one has a mailbox. So basically it is just sending an email. If you come here and just right click, okay, then it will open the activity, okay, which is responsible to send an email. So this is out of the box activity pj send email, okay, which was responsible to send an email. Similar to that one, if I click on this process send notifications, then it will send a notifications, okay, but this will send notifications in all three channels, okay. So we'll review that one, okay. So now what is a prerequisite, okay, what is a prerequisite to send an email or to send a notifications, okay. So let's say you are trying to send a notifications to your friend. So what you need, at least you need a mailbox, okay, like at least you are either you are trying to send from your company email box, or you need from the Gmail, okay. So in Pega also, to send an email notifications, we will be needing that email account, okay. So as of now we have not seen that, okay, because we were using send email send approve email, and we were not sending out, it was just attaching to our case, if you remember. So today we will be seeing how we can create an email account first, because that is very much important to send an email, okay. So send an email or to send a notifications, because send an email is a part of send notifications, because it is one of the channel, okay. So how we can create that, how we can create an email account. So to create an email account, what we have to do, we have to go to records, and we have to go to integrations, resources, and then email account. Here we can come, okay, and we can create with our work class name, okay. So work class name we say, sometimes we call work pool as well, or we call as a class group. So with that we can create it, okay. What happens internally, so this is my work pool, okay, or the class group. If I go to app explorer, so this is that till work layer. So if we create it till work layer, what it will do, Pega has internally coded to find an email account with this name. Okay, so dynamically they'll try to find out with the class group or the work pool. Okay, and this is our work pool name, so we have to create one email account with this details. Okay, an email provider can be like, you can see that there are like multiple options, we can select any. Okay, and as of now I have just given Gmail, but this is also not working. Okay, because there are like some like security concern. Okay, so that is where it's not working. Okay, because this is not, this is like a Pega cloud instance. Okay, so some security concern or some certificate issue is there, but just to make you learn, okay, that we have to create an email account. Okay, to make this either email like to send email out, okay, from our Pega application. So this is one of the prerequisites. The second prerequisite is that what we want to send an email. Okay, because if you're sending an email or to notifications, let's say if I'm just sending a web notifications, then some text will be required. Okay, or if I'm sending an email, then subject will be required, the body will be required. Okay, and then same for the mobile notifications. If you're sending to mobile notifications, then we should have some text. Okay, so now let's see how we can create a notifications. Okay, so if you see here, I have just removed that from our flow path and kept notifications, send notifications. So if I just click on this one, send notifications save, it is asking me give me a notifications name. Okay, so again, so notifications is a rule in Pega. Okay, and where we can find it, again we can find it inside records, process, and then notifications. Here you can see that we can create tons of notifications. So what it takes when we create a notifications, what it takes. Okay, so if you see here, if I try to just save as, okay, it just asks for the class details. Okay, so it's a basically it's a rule, so we can give the class details. If you want to reuse this notifications, then we can create it a work layer also, but for now, like I've created in apply leave, and then we have to select rule set. Next, what we have to do in this notifications, because try to understand this rule is very much important. So as I was saying, that to send a notifications, what all things we need. Okay, so the first thing is that email account to send an email, so that we discussed already. And how to create an email account, that also we saw, that we should create an email account with our work pool class. The second the mandatory or the required fields is to whom we want to send a notifications. Okay, so basically recipient details. Okay, so here in this notifications channel, so notifications rule. Okay, the first thing is that we can configure the recipient details. Okay, and we can configure multiple recipient details. Okay, so what all things is there, like we have an options to configure like operator ID or email ID. Okay, so here if you remember in our last session, when I'm trying to send an email, okay, I was using that party. Okay, work party. So we learned work party in last class, and see how we are using that one. Okay, so here what I'm saying that, okay, send the notifications to honor. Okay, so I'm taking that, so here I've selected that send to notifications to operator ID, and to which operator ID, so the honor. So take that the operator ID from the honor participants. Okay, sorry, honor participants or that honor work party. So if I go here and show you a case in our UI work page, inside work party we have that inside that PY work party, PY work page, we have PY work party, and here we can see that for the honors we have the PY user identifier. So PY user identifier is that out of the box property which holds that operator ID, operator ID. So we are saying, okay, it's sent to this operator. Okay, so we are basically trying to access this whole things. Okay, PY work page, no need to mention because we are on primary page here. Okay, we can say use current page context because we are calling from flow, and then here we are giving PY work party dot honor. Okay, so now we have configured the recipient details. Okay, what next? Now if we come to channel, okay, so let's understand that. Okay, channel. So you can see that here we have that enable web gadget. So by default it has been enabled, and then we have enable push notifications, and then we have that email notification. So maybe email notifications will not work because our email account is not working, and even mobile notifications will not work because there are some more configurations is required. The next thing is that web notifications. So this will work and we will be seeing that. So next is the display section. So display sections is basically what we want to display once user will get this notification, so that we can configure it. So basically here we can create a rule and say that okay, this is what I want to send as a notification. So here let's say I'll say that okay, I'll create notify approval and say so here what Pega will do, Pega will create a field value rule, okay, and in that one we can give the value, okay. Sorry, one second, display section. Okay, so we'll create that section, okay, but before let's configure for the email first, okay. So py notifications, it should create a field value. Yeah, this is I was expecting, and here I don't know why it's coming for sections. To configure section, it should come, okay. So we can configure this also. So we already have this section, okay, and in this one py show notifications default. Okay, fine. So this we can keep it as it is. We don't have to modify py show notifications details, but what message we want to show once the message will receive, okay, so that we can configure it here, okay, in the message. So let's configure first default this message. So we'll save as this one. So py notification. So here we can see that it's saying registered in the application. So we will update like this, okay. So our notifications message, okay, so we'll just give notify on approval, okay, and then we'll create in base class only, that's fine, or we can create in our class apply believe. Just see this. So basically we are trying to create a field value, okay. So here we'll say that your, or I'll just say leave request is approved, okay. And in field value we can pass that, we can pass the a parameter as well, okay. So we can say leave request, and then to access the parameter we can say like this, leave request this much is approved, okay. Or in the last also your leave request with id, your leave request is approved with id, something like that, and then parameter we give it like this, okay. So what it will happen from that notifications rule, will pass one as a pyd, okay. So now let's go ahead and configure it. So in place of py notifications we can select, see it's now coming notify approval, and it will ask to enter one parameter. One second, case id, okay. So we'll go and refresh again here. Okay, so now it's asking me enter the case id. So we know like from I told you in previous class that case id, pyd is a property which holds the case id. So we are just passing the pyd as a parameter, okay. Okay, there is some issue. Let's invalid value specified for the name. One second, parameter, okay. So parameter should not be space I think. Let's see that it should not be an issue. Why it's so now I configure that one, notify approval, and then we can keep py id. Okay, so it's done. Because so the error was because like case id is like a kind of a, sorry, parameter is like a kind of a variable, so variable cannot have the space. Now we can go and configure this in all places. So here also for mobile notifications we can configure the same, okay. If you want to have a different, you can create a different rule and do it. So I'll just say pyd here also. One second, I'll just copy and paste. Okay, and then here also we can say notify approval, and then here also we can give that same value. So this is like, this is for mobile, okay, and this is for the web notifications. This will go as a web notifications. Here we don't have to modify. This is the default sections which will show the message. I'll show you. And this is for email, sorry, this is for mobile, and this is for email. So for the email subject we have configured, and then we can create a correspondence rule as well for that one. Okay, means basically body. So correspondence rule which holds the body of that email. Okay, so we can create, so you can see that we are creating a correspondence type of email. Okay, and we'll just say one line that your leave request is approved. Approved. And then if you want to add a dynamic property, the case ID, we can click here, and then we can give that same property here, PYID. Okay, so we created correspondence rule as well. So if you see, we have configured all the channels. Okay, so we have like filled the data for all channels. So if you see here we filled this one. Okay, so once that web notification, so what we'll see in web notifications, so we'll see leave request is approved with ID. Okay, so that we will see in the email. If we are sending an email, okay, then this will, the same will come in subject along with that message which we have given in the body here. And then if you are using mobile notifications, then same it will go, your leave request is approved with the case ID. Okay, now we configured this. So now how we can use this one? Okay, so we can go to flow. So as I was saying that here it takes the notifications channel. So once we drag and drop that shape, okay, in automation we'll go to, in automations we'll go to send notifications. So here if you go, then it asks for channel name. Okay, so we can give our channel name. So I've already configured that shape, okay, and given the channel name. Okay, one very important things, okay, here is that when we use send notifications, okay, Pega has a checkpoint. Okay, so the Pega has a like condition, okay, out of the box conditions, that if you are submitting and if you're trying to send an email to your ID as well, then it will not work. Okay, so I don't know, like many of the people would have debugged this one or find this issue. So I'll give you a real-time example. Okay, that let's say I'm creating a request, and then I'm trying to send an email, okay, that I have created a request just for my like kind of a keep an audit of or something like that. Okay, I just want to send to myself. So if you're trying to send it to yourself, okay, this send notifications will not work. Okay, and send notifications always works in a context of case. So in a context of case means these features we use when we create a case. Okay, so basically from the case only we can send an email. Just like let's say you just want to send an email, okay, then this feature is not like applicable. Okay, so this will always be applicable from like a kind of a context of a case, not outside the context of the case. I'll tell you the example of a context of a case and not a context of the case. So let's say every night you generate a report and send an email. So that is not a context of the case, because you are just generating a report and sending out an email. But let's say you are like creating a case and approving it, so that's the context of the case, and then you are, with that case, you are trying to send an email. Okay, so to send an email without context, okay, we have out of the box activity like send simple email and few other things, so which you can explore, or you can use that approve email. Okay, if I open this one, we can use this as well, pj send email. Okay, so there are like few more activities there, or send simple email, you can explore that one. You can go to activity and then search with email. You'll find like few activities, and that those activities you can explore to send an email without context of an object, okay, or object, or basically the case object. But here that we are learning today notifications, so notifications always needs to send in a context of the case. Why? So what I'll do, I'll show you this one. Okay, so if I'll open this activity, okay, in this one we are calling, so this is pj notify wrapper. So this just This is just a wrapper activity which is calling that actual activity. Okay, so if you see here, it takes a lot of parameter. Okay, so here we have just selected pass current parameter page, and we are passing notifications name. Okay, and rest of the details we are not passing, but this takes a lot of other things as well, like context class, context key. Okay, so automatically this rule is fetching context class and context key, but sometimes we have to pass this one. Okay, and if you remember, we configured this recipient things in notifications only, notifications rule. But also if you're using this activity directly, let's say you don't want to configure your email feature from your flow, you want to configure it from a data transform or an activity, you can simply call this activity and pass this required parameter and do that. So I'll show you how we can do that as well. Okay, so we have to basically pass this parameter and then it will work. Okay. Okay, so now what we did, we configured a notifications rule, and then we like use that send notification step and configure that notifications name. Okay, so now thumb rule, I told you that if you are creating a case and then you're like basically if we are like submitting a case and then the create operator of that notifications, and then you're trying to send it to yourself, then it will not work. Okay, because how that notifications work. Okay, so I've written here how it works is that whenever we submit any request in Pega, okay, what Pega does is Pega queued it. Okay, that let's say if I'm approving an email, approving a leave request, what Pega will do, like in our scenario, Pega will queue an item, okay, to a queue processor. So queue processor is a background, a kind of a background agent, I can say. Okay, queue processor, which will process that whatever the item will queue it. Okay, so if I'm submitting a request, okay, it will queue to that queue processor and say that, okay, send an email to initiator, okay, or to that employee who has created a leave request. So who is creating that queue? So queue is created by manager. Okay, but let's say if manager is creating, okay, that queue and he is trying to send it to himself only, then it will not work. Okay, so this is where I was saying that creator of the queue, okay, and then the recipient should not be the same. If it is same, then Pega has a check and it will not send. Okay, so that you need to remember always. If like, because what happens mostly, people, when people start testing this kind of a things, okay, they'll give their id, operator id, and see that if they're receiving web gadget or not. If they'll give their id and they're only submitting this request, then it will not work. Okay, so a little bit more to this one. Okay, so once we submit it, okay, then Pega will queue to queue processor, and then queue processor name is py process notifications, which is responsible to send an email. Okay, so it is very fast, it doesn't take like it just send in a multi seconds. Okay, okay, so let's go ahead and submit a request. So here, as I'm saying, that if I'll do the entire things, okay, it will not work. So I'll create a request, okay, as an employee, and then I'll try to approve it from manager, and then we'll see that if you're getting a notifications or not. Okay, so let me create a leave request. So I'll just give some data. Okay, I'll not fill that one. So our case ID is 3004. Now I have already logged in with manager. Okay, so I'll go to home screen, and there is a case 3004. Now I'll approve it. Okay, because if you remember, in case of approval only we're sending in. So just click and finish it. So now I will go ahead. So here you can see, okay, we got a notifications. Okay, and here we one. Okay, so if I click on this one, we can see notification on approval is registered. So actually it is not getting, like, so there is some issue in this system. So whatever the rule it was there previously, that is what it is facing. Okay, from the, so I can delete this one second. Okay, so somehow it is not getting refreshed from the caching. Okay, so it is picking the old rule. So I'll just save as, and I'll make it notify on approval, and then create it, and then I'll update this rule here. Okay, there is some caching issue to this environment, so I'll just fill data again and just submit it and create a request again and approve it. So we got that. I'll just approve this one. Okay. No, we didn't get an email. Actually, some caching issue is happening, so maybe I'll create just approval. There is some caching issue to this system, so I faced preview before configuring as well, before starting this video. So let me, I create a new rule. So I'll just fill some data. So now I'll go ahead and approve it from manager. Okay, so see, we got it. Okay, and we see, so as I was saying that this issue is happening because of the caching, so I just changed the name. Sometimes it happens, so we need to, sometimes we can restart the system, or we can delete the rule and recreate with the new name. Okay, so here we can see that leave request is approved with the ID this much. Okay, and also if I refresh this, okay, so email has been sent out, but yes, like our email notifications is not working, so maybe like we cannot review that one, but you can see that how we are using to send any notifications, right? So we have configured this one and we are sending it. Few more things, as I was saying, that how queue processor is responsible, so how we can see that. Okay, so to see that, in your access group you need to add admin studio, okay, as a portal. So by default it won't be there, so you need to add px admin studio, and maybe you need to add some like available roles as well. So I have already added, and I can see that admin studio. So if you go to admin studio, okay, and you'll be landing to this page. Okay, so here you need to click queue processor, and then this is that queue processor like name, py process notifications. Okay, so you can see that we in last hour we have process 7. So if you want to debug, if you want to trace also, you can do it easily. So just click here, trace, and then go and submit a new request. So again, what I'll do to show you, I'll create another request. And when tracing will start, when we move that flow. So basically when that part of the code will execute, when we'll try to send an email. So when we're trying to send an email after approval. Okay, so I'll go ahead and then submit this case again. I'll approve it. So the moment I'll click on finish, okay, it will get queued and then it will try to process. So let's say I just finished it, and if I come here, we can see in the tracer, see it is tracing. So if you have to debug, okay, let's say if you have to debug that how, why the notification is not being sent out, because sometimes what happens, the recipient ID which you're passing might not be correct. Okay, so it won't send. And this is how I traced and find out that if I am submitting, okay, and if I'm trying to receive like this creator. So basically the queue page, here you can see that on this queue page the create operator is manager once. This is I was talking. Okay, so creator of this queue, okay, means that manager is queuing. Manager is saying, okay, I'm queuing, I'm approving this request, and I'm queuing to send an email to that the person who has like raised that leave request. So you can see that px create operator is manager, and here somewhere we should show the recipient list as well. So recipient, you can see that the value is submit. Okay, if the manager one here, the creator and the recipient is same, then Pega won't send. Okay, so Pega has a check. So this is how we can debug as well from the admin studio. Okay, one more things which you will see, as I was talking, that we are using in a flow. Okay, flow, so we can use this send notifications same. But what if we have to use like from somewhere else, like from the data transform or from anywhere else? Okay, so what we will do, instead of using this one, this send notifications, okay, I'll create a data transform and call the data transform here, and with that also we'll try to send an email. Because what happens, sometime, let's say if in exceptions handling scenario or in other scenario, you might not get the flow. Okay, so you have to call it from data transform. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just delete this one, send notification from here. Okay, and then here what I'll do, I'll call a data transform. Okay, so for now leave it this one, and then in this one we can after adding a party, let's say I want to send a notifications. Okay, so here we can call a data transform and we can send notification. Okay, so if you're creating it, so this kind of a things, okay, is a reusable. Okay, so if you're creating to send a notifications from like a data transform, so we can create one data transform, reusable data transform, which can be used from all over the places. Okay, so in this type of rule we can create in base class and use it. Okay, so send notification. Okay, so here we can select the class is base class, because we want to create a send notifications, okay, data transform which can be used from anywhere. Okay, so this you can call it from flow, this you can call it from the activity, this you can call it from the another data transform. Okay, so now what we have to do, okay, to call this one, so as I was saying, this is the main activity to send notifications. So we need to call this one to px notify. We can call this one as well, pz notify wrapper. Okay, so it depends, like sometimes we can call this one, sometimes we can call this one also. Okay, so any one of them if you have to call, what we have to do is, okay, we have to simply go and like here. Okay, so if you remember, like in our save class, save database, like save data to database table, I showed you how we can call an activity from data transform. So how we can do it? Okay, so we can just execute. We'll find out here execute activity. Okay, and if you see what it takes two parameter, clipboard page and the activity name. So here clipboard page is our primary, on py box page only we're trying to call, an activity name is, so I'm trying to use this one only for now, pz notify wrapper. Okay, so I'll just keep this here, pz notify wrapper. Okay, now you will ask a question, okay, how we can pass the parameter. Okay, because we have to, it will take one parameter. So what we have to do, so just here we have to give, we can give anything param.text, right? Okay, and then we have to pass that channel name as well. So we have to copy exactly the same. Okay, so we can copy that parameter name and here say param dot notifications name, and our notifications name is approval. Okay, so we can just copy this value and then paste it here. Okay, so what basically we are doing, okay, we are trying to call, so we had that shape. Okay, we had that shape, so like from shape, okay, we just drag the shape and we can use it, send notifications. But what if you are not in flow, then how you can send it? Okay, so how you can send it is, you can create a reusable data transform. Okay, and then set that the parameter, required parameter, and call that the same activity. Okay, so how we can get that activity? Okay, like I got it, how I got it is that I dropped a shape, and then after dragging and dropping a shape, okay, we can just right click and click, we'll get an options to see activity. So see, we are getting an options to get an activity. Okay, so pz notify wrapper. Okay, so now I did it. Now we need to call this one. So this, as I'm saying, this I created in base class so that I can use it from any places. Okay, now I can use it in flow also. So I'll go ahead and simply call it here from this one, apply data transform, and then I have created in base class, so I need to send notifications. Okay, okay, so here also we need to define that parameter so that we can pass that parameter. Okay, notifications name. Okay, so if you're like taking that from that, then we don't have to set this one. Okay, or we have hard coded here also. So like basically we should not hard code, because if you're making it reusable, then we should just remove this one and just have it here. Okay, so that anyone can just pass it. Okay, so now I just like added in parameter tab. Now if I go to my flow and refresh this data transform, it will ask to give me that parameter. Okay, that name of that channel. Okay, notification. So I'll just and have this one approval. So now let's go ahead and create like another request and see if we are receiving notifications. Okay, so let's go ahead and create another request. So we already have one, so I'll just click. So 7 minutes ago. Now I'll create again one more. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and approve it. Click on approve and just finish it. See, we got a notifications. So I mean, we can use this, like we can call this notifications from anywhere. Okay, it will all depends on your business scenario from where you want to call, but the main thing is this only pz px notify, and this is the activity, and this was getting called from the pz wrapper. Okay, so pz wrapper. So those two, that one activity is very much important. Okay, if you see, I was talking about when we are submitting, it is queuing. So here you can see that it is queuing, it is taking the data and then it queuing to the same queue processor. I was talking about the py process notification queue processor. So that is where it is queuing, and then queue processor is like taking that two recipient details, body, masses, and then sending that notifications. Okay, so we talked about how we can like how to create a notifications. Okay, so where we can find notifications is we can find in process and record process. Inside that we can find notifications. In notifications we can create we can create web details. Okay, and then also in channel we can create email, and for mobile. So email didn't work because our email account was not working, and I explained that we need to create email account with our work pool class. Okay, till work class. Okay, if you are not familiar much with the work pool or that work class group, just take that till work. Okay, your class, and then create with that one. Okay, we also see that if you're creating like a subject, okay, or that message, in that message how we can parameterize. Okay, so we just need to give parameter and refer it like this. Okay, in curly braces. So that also we saw. And then we saw that if it is required, like okay, how we can send notifications from the data transform. So we have created a reusable data transform. This data transform can call from any other data transform or from the flow. Okay, so that is what we saw. One more things which we didn't saw is that how we can configure the like preferences. Okay, so if I come to my sheet here, okay, so here we saw that okay, we learned little bit about notifications rule, and then channel also, then prerequisite, what all things we know, and then how it works. Okay, last things which I want to talk about, the preferences. So if you see in our any mobile applications also, okay, we'll have the features that you want to receive notifications or not. Okay, because sometimes it will be annoying to receive too many notifications. So Pega also have given this feature. Okay, so if I see here, if I just open that notifications rule, okay, notifications rule, we have an options. If you go to advanced, we have an options to not configurable from UI. If you want to, if you are not allowing users like to configure this notifications, if you want to receive or not, then you can check this checkbox, but usually we don't do. We'll give an options to user to configure. Okay, so where we'll find these options? So in Cosmos theme portal, we have to go to portal, user portal, and then click on this operator, and then here you can see that notifications preferences is there. Okay, so if you click on here, we'll see this here. So let it load. So these are some generic one for the pulse and other things. I'll just show you that also. Okay, so if I come here, apply lib, we can see that we created approval. Okay, because the name was approval. We can, if you want to change that label, we can come here in short descriptions and say notify on approval. So we can just save it and then again reopen this preferences. So we'll see that updated label. Okay, so yeah, so notify on approval, and then here we have the checkbox options when we want to send an email. Also how frequently you want. If you are annoying too much, if you're annoyed too much, then you can like configure the no, I don't want to receive daily, you want to receive weekly, or that, or you can disable as well. Okay, so that is how we can configure these preferences as well. Okay, so you can see that like it's very easy. Okay, previously we used to use send email functionality, which was like people used to do a lot of customization, and this preferences was also not available. So we had to build our own preferences, but by writing code. But now Pega has given this notifications rule is giving everything. Okay, so I told you, right? So if I just select not configurable from UI and submit, so let's see what it will happen. So now I'll close again. So then we'll see the options. We will not see an options to configure that one. So basically we'll not see an options to enable or disable. See, so that also, on that options is also there. Okay, but we'll allow that. Okay, Okay, so I hope this will help you, and at least you'll go and try to send on notifications, how notifications work. Okay, because I was very excited when I saw this. Okay, in that Pega that we are receiving web notifications. One more things I'll tell you, that if you're like going quickly, if you are in a Pega, if you have installed Pega, and quickly check how you can do it. You can post pulse also by tagging someone. So as I'm saying that, like I'm explaining from the beginning, that if you're queuing, okay, and if you're trying to receive, will not receive. Okay, so how you can test this also in user, you can go and write the name of your other user and just post it. So here, like if you try to do it like the at delete and then user, and then you can id, type the id. Usually it will come in that as a suggestions, but it's not coming. So what I'll do, at delete manager1, because manager1 is that the operator id name, and then saying hello. So now here, see, the Amit Singh came because the name of that manager one operator ID is Amit Singh. Okay, so if I click here, so user profile, we can see that here also. See that the name is manager, and then this is like a kind of a quick view of that operator. So now if I go with that operator, we can see here that message there, Samit Singh mentioned you in a comment, like we receive in Facebook or we receive in other apps. Now I can respond also to this one, and then the other person should also receive that notifications. Okay, so Samit Singh has commented, and then now Amit is replying. Okay, so now we responded. So if I just go here, and again see, we got a notifications here, Amit Singh added a new comment in the conversation. Okay, so at least you can try. If I just like also, and then see the notifications is coming. Okay, Amit Singh like your post. So I hope this will give you some idea. Okay, that okay, how we can use the notifications, and you'll be using. Okay, this will be very helpful. Okay, and so watch this video and try. Okay, this. Okay, and if you have any doubt, any questions, then comment in comment box. And also please like my channel, subscribe, like my channel, or subscribe the channel, and like the videos, share the videos, because one thing I'm seeing that people are watching, but they're not subscribing or they're not liking. Okay, so please do that. Okay, so that I'll get some motivation and make more videos. So thank you very much. Have a good day.